They didn't know they're a part in a secret project for the government called Gen 13 till it was too late, and if they decided to get out, they'll be hunted down. 3 of them don't want to be secret weapons for the government, so what are they gonna do? Are they gonna change their mind, or will they be able to find a way to leave? Well, stick around to find out. But before we begin, don't forget to like and turn on the notification bell. The movie begins with Agent Callahan, who's gone rogue, and they had to retrieve him dead or alive because he's harvested the Gen factory in Project Gen 12. Callahan's been chased by some agent, and they managed to destroy his car. He was with 2 children and his wife, but the agent shot her dead. When he knew the 3 of them can't get out alive, he told his son to take care of his sister and run. And then he activated the Gen factor, but that's when the scene ends. We see Caitlin, who was having a nightmare. Then she woke up late for class. She got dressed and went as fast as she can, but a man from the army stopped her in front of the gate. He told her he's been looking to recruit promising young talent for a project named Genesis, and she's a good candidate for her good academic record and the reputation of her parents. She told him she'll think about it, and he gave her the number she's gonna call if she agreed. Her day at school was normal, but she couldn't get rid of the idea about that offer. When she went to her room, she couldn't get in because her roommate is a little busy with some devil's tango, so she had to sit on the floor till her roommate finished. And that made her do some thinking, and finally, she decided to join the project. By a plane, she went to a faraway island where the project is, and she met her instructor, Helda. In her tour, she met 2 of her colleagues, Eddie, who was a little dumb or very dumb, and Roxy, the chimney woman, cause you can't see her without a cigarette. Meanwhile, in the same facility, Threshold was training till Ivana called. She wanted to inform him about Caitlin and how she needs extra attention cause her father was a former member of the project. Their training and the studying begins. Caitlin was nailing the theoretical stuff, but the physical one's not so good at first, and Threshold was pushing her in the training more than the others. After the training, she and Roxy went to have a bath. Caitlin told her about her parents who died when she was a baby, and she can't remember any one of them, and don't know anything about them, except they were in the army. In the evening, she was in her room, writing in her diary. Then we see a gas coming out of the ventilation pipes. Then she passed out. Some agents enter her room and moved her to a secret section in the facility and put her in a harvesting tube. She and her colleagues, Roxy and Eddie, Ivana sees the Mayday message from John Lynch. She tried to prevent him from landing because their project is secret, and even the government doesn't know a thing about it. But luckily, John had a high secure level and can land wherever he wants. He was suspecting that Ivana is trying to bring Gen Project back, and he tried to tell her how the Gen factor is dangerous, but she doesn't listen. Callahan's son was running with his sister till he found himself on top of a waterfall, and he had nowhere to go except jump. But when he did, he lost his sister, and that's when the agents caught him. Then Caitlin woke up from her dream. Later, Caitlin was having breakfast till she got some kind of hallucination, and she was gonna pass out, but John helped her. He told her he's a friend of her father, and they served together. And he asked her about how she's doing in the program, but everything was fine to her. Later in that night, Caitlin began to have a terrible headache, and she tried to call the infirmary, but there's no response, so she got out of her room to go to the infirmary. We noticed that her superpowers begin to kick in, and finally she found herself in a high-level security room, and her father's name on the screen. She tried to look for more information when Roxy and Eddie entered. After that, one of the agents get in, and they tried to explain the door was open, but he keeps threatening and beating them, till Caitlin got mad and begins to transform. She took the agent's gun and just one punch to finish him off. Then the headache gets even more worse, and her body becomes bigger and stronger. Then a few agents get in and try to stop her, but she finished them easily and mistakenly killed one of them. When Threshold and the agents knew about what happened, they went looking for them, and they threw a bomb in their room. Roxy and Eddie managed to hide, but Caitlin didn't manage to go anywhere, so the explosion threw her out of the building. The agents caught Roxy and Eddie and sent some others to look for Caitlin. Caitlin's still in one piece, and when she gets chased by the planes, her other ability kicks in. She managed to destroy all of the planes, and finally she faced Helga and easily defeated her. She used her robot to sneak into the facility, but it was a bad idea because she can't speak a Russian accent. Meanwhile, Roxy and Eddie were being tortured to tell Ivana where Caitlin is. But they don't know, and even if they did, they wouldn't tell her. Caitlin was destroying everything in her way, and the agents told Ivana about what's happening, so she took more agents and went to stop her. Threshold, on the other hand, decides to take the torture too far because he wants to harvest the gen factor from Roxy and Eddie. He began with Eddie, but there's no response, so he went to Roxy and she begins to scream. So that made Eddie more angry and his power kicks in. Got out, finished Threshold, and saved Roxy. Meanwhile, Caitlin was facing the agents on her own till Roxy and Eddie show up and helped. Roxy got no powers yet, so she just threw some metals on the agent, and Eddie can copy any element he touches and covers his body with it. When they finished all the agents, Caitlin faced Ivana. Despite being with no superpowers, she got metal arms that can cut through anything, and she has high combat skills, so she managed to cut Caitlin in her arms. With Eddie's help, they managed to break her arm and she ran away. Meanwhile, John was returning to the facility, but the Air Force attacked him to prevent him from landing. In the same time, the gang was looking for a way to get out of that island, and they found a helicopter, so they squeezed in and told the pilot to get them out of here. Soon after, Threshold shows up and kills the pilot and destroyed the helicopter with his mind abilities. They began to fall, and that made Roxy so angry and she begins to shout she really hates him. But that's when her power kicks in, and as Threshold, she has a mind control ability. Meanwhile, in the facility, Ivana decided to evacuate and destroy the whole place so that every evidence of them being there is gonna turn to dust. Threshold was enjoying the killing too much, so Caitlin told him he's sick. He begins to explain how he got a dysfunctional upbringing because his parents were killed when he was young. His parents were Gen 12 members and the project aids to create a special fighting force, but when his parents refused to fight, they were hunted down and killed. So eventually, he told them he's a part of Gen 13 to destroy the government who killed his parents and create his own. All three of them thought he was nuts, so he told them if they won't join him, he'll have to kill them. They begin to fight each other, and despite being a beginner in superhero stuff, they managed to defeat him, and that's when John arrived. Threshold hated John because he's the reason why his parents died. But he told him, your parents were my friends, and I couldn't save their lives. Threshold doesn't want to hear anything, and he'll deal with John after he finishes off those three. John told him, Caitlin is the last person you want to face, cause, ready for the plot twist we all knew from the beginning, she is your sister. He begins to explain, after the agent captured the young Matthew, aka Threshold, who thought his sister is dead, John found her down by the river and he knew it was too late for Matthew to be saved, so he handed Caitlin to her uncle to live a normal life. After that, they hear the explosion and a rock wave came towards them. John told them to get on the plane quickly, but Threshold decided to buy them some time to take off. His sister tried to help him, but he used his powers to put her back on the plane, and he's buried under the rocks. On the plane, John told them they had powers they don't yet understand, and unluckily, all members of Gen Project can't get out, so he invites them to work with him to save lives and grow and control their ability, and they all happily agree. And that's when the movie ends. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching. See you soon, and goodbye.